Alright, our next topic is on dictionaries. That's what we'll be discussing in this. So dictionaries is a very important topic in terms of two things. One is conceptually understanding when to use dictionaries and what are the applications of it. And second thing is it is actually used during your interviews, during your programming assessment. For example, let's say you are shortlisted to a company and they give you some coding round, something. In those kind of rounds, actually your solution will be using dictionary at some point. Okay, so especially keeping interviews in mind, keeping applications in mind, so dictionaries is a very important topic. Okay, so let's understand. So all the way starting from creating a dictionary, right? So here let me put creating a dictionary. Now even before talking about creating a dictionary, I just want you to imagine one thing. For example, when I said the word dictionary, right, so what flashes your mind, right? So some small book that is in your house, you're using to refer to words and their meanings, all of that. We've all done that quite a few years ago, right? I'm sure everyone in their house has a dictionary, right? So what does that dictionary have? It has a word and it has a meaning, right? It has two things. So even in Python, there are two things for a dictionary. There's a key, there's a value, right? So I'll try to draw some parallels with the physical dictionary and the Python dictionary here as well. So first of all, let's try to create a sample dictionary. Okay, so let's say student. Okay, so student, so how do you create an empty dictionary? You just put curly braces. Okay, so this is how you create a dictionary. So remember, for list we have used square brackets. For dictionaries we are using curly braces. Okay, so don't get confused. So curly braces for dictionaries. Now, okay, so empty dictionary is fine, but how do I store information inside a dictionary? For example, let's say name, age, gender we want to store for a student. Name, age, gender. Okay, so let's say there's a student, you can say Raju, somebody. Okay, so let's say student is equals to, and you can store his name. Okay, so you have to put name and then colon the value of that key. So basically what is his name? So let's say student's name is Raju, right? So I'll type it here first and then I'll explain you why are we following this kind of a technique. Okay, then put a comma, then his age, then put any number, let's say 27. Let's say we go with gender and let's type in male. Okay, so look at this. So we put curly braces, we have student as a variable, put an equal to symbol. Now inside this there are three things: name, age, gender, right? So these are separated by commas. You can see, so there's a comma here after the name, there's a comma here after age. So each of these are separated by commas. So these things are called key value pairs. What is this called? They are called key value pairs. So how many pairs are there in here? 3, right? So name is Raju, age is this, gender, and the value of it, right? So this is called a key, this is called the value. So key and value are linked using colon. Okay, so you can see a colon here. So this is called a colon. So on left side you have a key, on right side you have the value, and you can see the keys are in quotes, all of them, and then the values as well. So you can put any kind of values. It could be string, integer, right? So for example, you can also put things like qualified, right? So some exam qualification, something you can add something like a false or a true, right? It accepts all kinds of data types as well. Okay, so now if you run this, just put student, or you can just put print student, you will be automatically able to print the entire dictionary of this student. Okay, I hope this is clear. Now moving on to accessing this value. So how do I access these entire dictionary? So let's take a look at that also. So our second topic is about accessing values. Okay, you put double quotes. Now accessing value. So let's say I only am interested in identifying the age of this student. So what do? You take your dictionary first, student, then what are you interested in? Age. So the way you access is put square brackets. In list, when we did, we were putting all these 0, 1, 2, right? But here we have to give key as the input. That key, for example, let's say it is age. If I put age, you get the student's age. If I put name, I get student's name, isn't it? So it's quite simple. So whatever key that you are looking for, you can actually use those key values. Okay, and if you want to edit also, you can do that. For example, student name, you want to edit this name to something else. So let's say you put David and then you run it. Now let's try to run your student dictionary, and you see it is automatically updated. So whatever key that you want to update, you can do that. So let's say I want to update age to 26, right? So now it will automatically get updated. You can see that student age 26, right? So quite simple. You can access elements, you can update them, right? So you can do all of that, right? Now coming to the third important thing, right? So this is actually a very important one. As I said, right, so we'll be using dictionaries in interview questions, all of that, right? So now what concept in interviews is something that you will face is, so this is nothing but looping through a dictionary. So this is our number 3. So this is actually a little confusing one as well. So just pay attention. Loop through a dictionary. Okay. Now, what do I mean by loop through a dictionary? For example, I have student dictionary, right? I have name, age, gender, qualified, all of this. Very good. Now, if I want to access these values using a loop, so how do I do that? So there are multiple ways of how you can actually do it. For example, let's say I type for key in student, okay, colon, then just print the key. So let's see what happens. What happened here? You just got the keys, right? So for key in a student, so that means in dict. So this key does not matter. Like I'll say for A in student, print A. This will actually give you the keys. Okay. So if you access a dictionary just by its name using a for loop, so what do you get? You get keys. If you want to get values, you can also get those values. For value in, this time what you have to do is you have to put student dot values. Okay, student dot values. Now print value. Okay, so this is how you can get values. So keys you can get like this. Value you have to put student dot values, and then you will be able to access these values. But see, many of the times we will be using key and value together, isn't it? Right? It's not like they are two separate things. They're paired up, right? So what is the normal convention? So key is called K, right? So you just use K, and value is represented using V, right? So for K comma V in student dot items, you use items. I'll tell you why items, because these items will give you access to both. See, just using the dictionary gives access to key. This dictionary dot values gives you access to the values, but this dictionary dot items gives you value to both. Let's see how. Print K comma V, and then you see you have K and you have V. Isn't this amazing, right? So very simple. So we were able to access only key, we were able to access only value, and we are able to access both key and value as well. So this is how you can actually access both of these things. Right, now for example, you can answer questions like, let's say I want to look at if the name is actually a key inside this dictionary. Okay, so how do I check that? For K in student, okay, if K is equals to name, okay, so print, let's say, found the key. Okay, you just run it. Okay, so because it is actually there inside this. Right, so instead of writing a for, if, all of this, you can actually simplify the whole code as well. Like for example, you can just say if name in student print true, okay, else print false. You just run this. So as you see, so it just identifies, you don't need even a loop, right? So it automatically checks all the keys inside a dictionary just using this if statement, and then it gives you true. Like for example, let's say I want to access something like a hobby, right? I have a hobby is something that is not in our dictionary, right? So it will give you false, right? So this is how you can actually use just if and in, so to access all the, to check what keys are present inside a dictionary, right? So this is something that is very useful. So keep practicing problems around these k comma v dot items, and then this as well, right? So to be able to check if the dictionary actually has these kind of keys. So that's all for this module. See you in the next one.